welcome to another edition of From Our Living Room to Your Living Room with Aspire TV. Today, we have an amazing woman, inspiring woman as our guest, Nancy Quill. And Nancy, tell us, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm a little cooped up right now here in our home, but I'm doing all right. I wish it was a little warmer outside, though.
Oh, I bet. So we want the people out there that are our viewers, and we will probably have several hundred viewers. They want to know who you are and what you're all about. So why don't we tell them where were you born and where you grew up? Tell them a little bit about your father, his business. Kind of give us a little history about you.
All right. Well, I was born in Taunton, Massachusetts, grew up in Rainham, next town over. And my dad was a radio guy, actually. He was the co-owner and general manager of a station called WRLM in Taunton, which is actually now WSNE in Providence. He sold it back in the 80s, and he's passed on, of course, since then. But I grew up in a radio family. My mother worked there. My sister worked there, my brother worked there. We all worked there at one point in our lives, but got a really great education in radio thanks to my dad and his work at the radio station.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm sure he's looking down, so proud of you. And so you graduate in Redham, Mass, right? Is that right?
Rainham. Some people say Rainham, some people say Rainham, but we say Rainham, those of us that live there.
My strong Boston accent comes out, right? So from there, you went on to University of Lowell, which is now UMass Lowell, but for old folks like us, it's University of Lowell. And what was your major?
My major was music education. My original aspiration was to become a rock star, but that didn't work out. But I was a singer and a songwriter, and I played the piano. And so when I was growing up, not only did I have exposure to radio, but I also was involved in music. I was in all the musicals when I was in high school, and I sang in a band. And so I actually was a soprano major, music major. I was a voice major. When I went to University of Lowell and ended up with my degree in music education, but things changed when I got involved in radio. So I never ended up teaching music, actually.
So what would you say was the best musical you did in school? Your favorite?
By far, The Sound of Music. I was Maria.
Can you sing us something? It was one of the
highlights of my life.
Probably caught you off guard on that one. Can you sing us something from there? A little bit?
Are you kidding? I couldn't sing the high register anymore if you paid me. There's no way I could do it. Let's say, doe, a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of golden sun. That's it. I'm done.
All right. Yay!
Thank you.
So you went on for the musical. You went on to college into music. You said you played in a band. That's interesting. Were you in a band in high school and college? When were you in that band?
Both. Actually, I was in a band in high school called Black Diamond, and we sang a lot of Kiss songs, believe it or not.
Oh, I love it.
I used to wear a black jumpsuit, and I used to have sequins on there. And
no way!
We actually got a couple of gigs when I was in high school, actually. Played some of these bars in Taunton, and I still can't believe my parents let me do that.
Right.
And then when I was in college, I was in a band, and we sang a lot of songs by the Pretenders and Blondie, and always Beatles songs. You always have to throw a Beatles song in because they're so great.
Yes. So you sang in college, and that must have been fun. You did all the college. Did you sing in like the college bars and stuff?
Yeah, we did a little of that. But I was so busy with music. I was in a lot of choruses too. I sang classical. So, I mean, I ran the gamut when it came to music. I was pretty much involved in a lot of concerts where we sang classical music in churches and in venues at other colleges. So that's what I did.
Wow. What are some of the biggest or memorable places you've sang at?
Let's see. I did nothing that anybody would know. To be honest with you, I don't even remember all the places in Lowell because I don't even think they're there anymore. But we sang at our own Rathskeller, which was an on-campus bar. As a matter of fact, I sang with a guy named Dave Binder, who actually does a James Taylor tribute now. And we used to do a lot of songs together there, and I used to do the kind of the folky thing with him.
Oh, that's nice. Have you, talking about folky, have you ever worked, James Montgomery's more folky, don't you think?
Yeah, bluesy for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've worked with him over the years. So, okay, so from there, and then you go to college. Now, and you're working with these musicals. When you got out of college, did you want to go right into being in the musical world and hit Broadway, or how did you end up going to work for the radio station?
Well, funny you should mention that. My dad, while I was in school studying music, said, you know, you really should get your radio license, and just to have something to fall back on, because as you know, the music business is not something that is lucrative or successful for a lot of people. You can be great, but not necessarily make it. So with my radio background, he suggested that maybe I should get my radio license, which I did. And I started working at the college radio station. And from there, I met some people that worked at the radio station WCGY 93.7, which is now EEI FM. And I started working there part-time while I was in college. And that's where I really got my commercial work as I was in college. I had a chance to really kind of hone my craft. And it wasn't long after I graduated from college that I got the job at Magic, believe it or not. 38 years later, here I am.
38 years at Magic 106?
At Magic, yes.
Okay, well, so tell us, let's talk about that. So you got 38 years under your belt. That's a lot of years. So one of the things I will point out is the commercial from the Magic is you on the voiceover, right?
The whisper that you hear is me. You hear those little Magic 106.7. That's me.
Yeah. How cool is that? You met a celebrity right here, folks. So why don't we tell you? Let's walk us through your career there. You've done so much. I mean, you've done I'm looking at it. You've done program directing, and you've done music directing. You've been the voice. You've been the voice itself. Right, the personality. Thank you.
Yes.
And so, why don't you say where you started off in Magic, and then how did you end up being a program director and a music director? That's huge. So, how did you do that?
Well, you know, you have to start somewhere. And when I first started at Magic, I was hired in January 1982. That's when we went on the air for the first time. Me and, you might know, David Allen Boucher of Bedtime Magic. We started together at the same time. And I started doing late nights, which was great. I mean, I was scared to death. I was just out of college, and I worked at WCGY very briefly, and then here I am in Boston. This is very exciting. And I started doing late nights, but I was always interested in the music. I loved putting the music together. Maybe that's my musical background. So my program director at the time, Jack Casey, recognized that, and I would always say, gee, I'd love to be a music director. When the opportunity came around, he asked me to be the music director. So I spent a lot of time actually creating the music library for Magic, because we were a brand new radio station. And back then we were buying albums. I mean, we were taking albums and putting them on these 8-track tapes called cards. So I was busy doing that, and also formatting the music. We were much softer then, but there is a formula to that. You have to formulate how you're going to put this music on the air. I was involved with that for many, many years. From there, I had the opportunity to be named assistant program director, and then an acting program director for a while. And then my son came along. That was back in 1991. And I had to give that part of it up, because I really wanted to be a mom, and I just wanted to do my show and not have to do all the other behind the scenes work. So, you know, it was a good 10 years of programming, but I enjoyed every minute of it.
It's a lot of work. I'm listening to you going, that must have took hours. Like, you had to run these albums to put on 8-track tapes, right? So then they can play them on the air. Like, hours of running those. I'm saying to myself, I didn't think it took that long. Like, that's major that we don't know about behind the scenes. That's pretty huge, right?
And you don't have to do that anymore, because everything's on hard drive. All you have to do is look up a song, and a radio station can download it, and you're done. It's a lot easier these days.
Can you tell us about any mishaps might have happened over the years?
Oh, there have been a few here and there. I mean, the biggest things is when you kind of you get one of those brain drains and you can't think, and all of a sudden there's silence, and it seems like it's hours and hours, and people are out there listening going, where is she, where is she?
Yeah.
And I can't think of a word, or I can't think of a sentence, or my mind froze up. But the funniest thing was, I was doing a public service announcement one night for the Museum of Fine Arts, and for some reason, I was a little nervous talking about this event going on at the Museum of Fine Arts. I said, this great thing going on at the Museum of Farts. And I thought, I can't take that back. I can't take it back. I said, excuse me, the Museum of Fine Arts. That was probably one of my more embarrassing moments on the air.
That's funny. And, it's a memorable that people always remember that, right? I can't believe
it's on
said
tape,
five.
too. I got to find it somewhere. It's somewhere on tape.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to hear that one. That's funny. So, in the business, a lot of things go on behind the scenes that, people just don't know, right? Like you think that, all you do is hear a radio and you're thinking that they live the life, right? The glamour life. Some of the glamour life talking about, you've interviewed a lot of celebrities.
Yes.
Well, people love the Hollywood story. So tell us some of the celebrities you interviewed. Tell us, and if you can, the worst one you interviewed, and probably the most inspiring one you interviewed. Tell us.
Okay, I'll tell you the best first.
Yeah. Right.
Most celebrities are pretty nice. I mean, I've met some great people. I would say the top-notch best celebrity is James Taylor by far, who we had a chance to interview when our radio station turned 20 years old. And he couldn't have been nicer. He came in for a live studio concert. I had a chance to interview him there, and he was like your best friend down the road. Here, I'm coming in to sit and chat with you. And he just made me feel so comfortable, and he was so nice and so gracious and so interesting. I loved interviewing him. He was so wonderful. And Phil Collins was great. Oh, talk about mishaps. I interviewed Phil Collins, and we were backstage at his concert. It was when he was at TD Garden several years back. And it was a great interview. It was one of the best I'd ever done. He was so good. We sat on the couch talking, and I went to play back the interview. Nothing.
Oh,
nothing.
No.
It never recorded. I swear we had turned on the record button, but there was nothing. And it was such a great interview. We lost that one. But he was a great interview.
And he wouldn't re-interview again, or?
No, because at that point, he was gone and we couldn't get him back, unfortunately. So
yeah.
It's too bad. I'm trying to think of some of the other people that were great. JFK Jr. actually, I met and spoke with, who very handsome, as you can imagine.
Very suave, he looks like.
Yes, very suave, very, very down to earth, actually. A little nervous. He was a little nervous when I was speaking with him. And Richard Marx, Daryl Hall, and John Oates are just a few that I've interviewed.
Wow.
Some of my favorites. But
so you get free concert tickets to all those too, right?
Well, we used to, not so much anymore. But back in the day, they were a lot easier to get. I had front row at Elton John. That was one of the best concerts.
Oh, I paid a lot of money for my Elton John, so I'm jealous.
And I'll tell you what, he shook my husband's hand. And because my husband is a huge Elton John fan, and he reached down and he shook Roger's hand, and I think that just made his
yeah, right. I don't want to ever wash my hand again.
I know, Elton John.
Right. So you're married and you have one son, is that it?
Yes, I have a son who's 28 years old. He's a physician assistant. Right now, he's working at Mass Eye and Ear in head and neck oncology, actually. He's not working with coronavirus patients, but, you just never know because they're always on call for things like that. But,
it's so scary, right?
It's very
your husband,
scary.
Is he still working?
Yeah, my husband's an architect.
Oh,
and
nice.
He's working, although we're both looking at, maybe thinking about slowing down a little bit and enjoying life and traveling.
I think it's a good idea. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, now's the time. So
Yeah.
while you've had this amazing career over at the radio station. You've done some amazing things with your music. Um, you said you do voiceovers. Is that right?
Yes, I've been doing voiceovers for about 15 years or so, and off and on, because it's something that you really do have to commit yourself to. And since I've been on the radio, it's I wasn't doing as much, but now I have a lot more free time, so I'm looking to ramp that up. So I do have demos out there. You can hear me on voices.com, and I'm always looking for doing anything as far as voiceovers go, commercials and tutorials, educational videos, narrations. Love doing them all.
Okay, good. Um, Now, can you tell us some of the work you've done over the years, some memorable ones?
Let's see, I did some work for AT&T. I do a lot of technology things, like Blue Coat Technology was one of them. I've done so many, I can't even think off the top of my head.
Right, I just like to ask,
Quite a
I know
few.
it's hard to remember because I'm putting you on the spot.
I know. I mean, I have to go look, but I've done so many of them, so
I'm
it's hard to
sure.
remember everything. Yeah.
What Now, why don't you kind of talk to us today what you feel is going on with the virus, and what are some inspiring things for people listening to you out there that look up to you, and they're like, Nancy, give us something.
Well, I mean, I want to be inspiring, and I want people to be healthy. Um, right now, I think it's so important that we have to be good to each other. We really do have to be kind to each other, because people are on edge, and it's a very scary time, and you don't know, if you walk out the door, especially without a face mask, what you're going to encounter. And you worry about your loved ones. You worry about your friends and family that are working in medicine. It's a tough thing out there, and I just hope people stay healthy and listen to the doctors, listen to the experts, and maybe if we can all do that together, we'll get through this, and in a shorter period of time. I just hope that it doesn't go on and on and on.
Me too.
You know.
Now, for women that are starting out, that they're looking at you, and we have, I'm going to be putting this in a Women Empowering Women group, about 1,000 ladies. It's not much yet. We're just building it, right? So, not bad for a couple months. And so, the Women Empowering Women group, what would you like to say to some of those women out there that like to get in the radio, and what they can do, and what can you say to them to how to break into the business?
Well, I think these days it's a little bit different than when I was starting out, because you have a lot more media that you can look into, like the internet and podcasting, satellite. But if you want to be on the radio, the best thing you can do is to get in the front door by volunteering, by interning, listening to all the experts. Listen, sit down with a program director, sit down with somebody who is on the radio, and ask them what they do, what their best tips are for being on the radio. Because everybody's different too. You got to remember that what I do and what somebody on Top 40 does, or somebody on sports radio or talk radio, it's all different. So you have to first find your passion. And then secondly, you have to be realistic, that there are a lot of people that are talented, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication to become successful. And you may not become successful. It may be something you can do part-time. It may be something that you can do full-time, but just be available to do overnights or late nights or early mornings, or just to to run the board. Running the board is just like playing somebody else's tracks, and you're just learning to run the board. Anything you can do just to get the feel of radio, that's how you want to start. And then practice. We all have the availability now of recording ourselves, whether it's on your computer, on your phone. Listen back to yourself. Play it for somebody who's in the business. Ask constructive criticism. Tell me what I can do better. Tell me what I'm doing right. Those are all the things you can do. And then just be at the right place at the right time. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Wow, what great advice by Nancy Quill. I would definitely look into that, folks, and take her advice, because she's been in the business about 40 years, well, plus, because she did other musicals in high school and stuff. Now, if somebody wanted to hire you and check out your work and hire you for voiceovers, I'm actually thinking of maybe having you do some readings for my children's book on my business page. I think that might
I'd
be
love
good.
to do that. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, so I'm building that up. But we'll talk. This is about you, not me. So how can they find you? Looking for you. Tell us again. Tell us where they can. If you have a website, you have a business page, you have an email, you have a phone number. Tell us how to find you.
Well, you can listen to my demos at voices.com and just look up Nancy Quill, Quill, at voices.com. I'm in the middle of working on a website, so I don't have that up and running yet. But if you want to contact me, here's what you can do. You can go to NANKYQ, that's NankyQ, at gmail.com, and leave me a message.
Can we repeat that email just one more time?
Sure, NANKYQ at gmail.com.
Well, there you have it, folks. So what a great interview today. She's been amazing and inspiring, and I hope you enjoy the interview, folks out there, just as much as I have enjoyed interviewing Nancy. And Nancy, you've been wonderful, and we'd like to follow up with you down the road to see how you're doing since you've left Magic, right? So maybe, you know, and we're going to be featured, we just discussed with her in the summer issue of Aspire magazine. We're going to have a whole feature of her through the years of Nancy. So maybe like through the years of her musicals and her, you know, her at work and some of the things, she's done. So we're excited to do that. It'd be a good 10 to 15 page spread. Look for that. That'll be coming out probably in July. Like we don't know right now because of everything going on, but we're hoping in July we'll have a nice fat party, probably down at probably Fenway Johnny's or something, because John's a friend. So probably hit John up to use his location. And
that sounds like fun.
you know, yeah, he's a great guy, isn't he? Have you gone there yet?
I have not gone there yet, but I've heard all about it.
It's a great pay. He's a great guy. So, and we'll get her to speak at our Women Empowering Women conference in Boston on September 19th. We'll hopefully get her to speak a little bit there. We're only going to have about 150 ladies, very small, intimate. For this year, just kind of getting our hands wet. Again, from our living room to your living room, from Aspire TV. Thank you, Nancy, and we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.